What if your most loved employee perk could cut emissions, crush commute stress, and boost retention all in the same quarter? Today, we're talking purpose that moves people, literally. And our guest is Chinmay Malaviya, co-founder and CEO of Ridepanda, the micromobility benefits platform helping employers offer curated e-bike and e-scooter subscriptions as a sustainable reward that employees actually use. Chinmay previously led strategy at Lime and was the founding team member on Food Panda. So he's lived the arc all the way from on-demand delivery to planet-friendly community. So for the People Strategy Forum's audience of founders, C-suite, and senior HR leaders, this conversation sits squarely at the intersection of total rewards, wellness, and ESG. So let's explore how mobility benefits can lower churn, lift engagement, and align with a purpose-driven culture. So welcome, Chinmay.
Thank you so much, Sam. Appreciate it. Thanks for the great, kind intro. I'm excited to dive in and share what we have learned so far and hopefully inspire more people to think about sustainability and all solving the problem around commute. So excited to chat.
Yeah, so Chinmay, you've built this from food delivery to shared scooters and now employer mobility. So what's your personal why around this particular initiative?
I think great question, Sam. So I did food delivery in Asia, which is similar to DoorDash in Southeast Asia, which was for me what work meant. I was like, wow, I could take all my skill set and continue on the path of growth while building a business that people can value, people can take care of, and also hand in hand with the technological evolution that was happening. This was 2012, 2013,
Hmm.
2014, where smartphones became a thing and logistics and delivery could be easily connected with a network of drivers to different network of restaurants. So it was a amazing experience for me around work. I most recently, as you mentioned, worked at Lime. Lime was my Silicon Valley adventure and how
Hmm.
businesses built in the US, in the mecca of entrepreneurship. And that was my aspiration to move from Asia to come to the US. And really, I think what Lime gave me is the meaningful mission. I think after my adventure with Food Panda, food delivery, that is what I was seeking. How do I take my skill set and actually add it true value to the world? And that's meaningful to me. And with Lime, the data really was so powerful. Like Lime within 18 months did 100 million trips. They just announced a week ago they did a billion trips, a billion
Wow.
trips, right? And this is folks who taking not a car, but this fun, sustainable electric bike or a scooter to get around. And some of the metrics around environment and sustainability really spoke to me. Like transportation is the number one cause of emissions in the US.
Hmm.
That happens in passenger cars. And 60% of your car trips are actually in 0 to 5 miles. And if you look at cities like New York and San Francisco, it's actually 80% are in 0 to 3 miles. And here comes these e-bikes and scooters that were not a thing in the US maybe a decade ago, who are actually changing and transforming really how people can move. And that really stuck to me. And I think I'm proud of what the work we did at Lime. My co-founder Charlie came at Bird and Scoot. What we wanted to do is right, Penna, and that's a journey we're on, which of course we're going to dive more into, is how do we build long-term behavioral change, right? By empowering people with choice, by empowering people with affordability, by also empowering people with reliability and convenience, and actually focusing on the next cohort of riders who we can win today versus them slowly doing it tomorrow.
Yes, and I have to say from my personal experience, I do a lot of traveling across the globe, and whenever I visit Denver or Paris or Barcelona, getting those in getting the bike or the e-scooter and getting around is at first I was intimidated, because I'm kind of an older guy, but you see these young people whiz by and they're so fast and everything, but everything, you don't have to go 90 miles an hour, just kind of move along and it's it gets a sense of wonder and kind of like as a kid, when you're riding when you're younger and really enjoying the outdoors and being aware of your surroundings. So I think that the the wellness part of that and the mindset that it puts you in before work or before that meeting is phenomenal. It just gets you kind of pumped up. And of course, I'm the accomplishment that you were a part of the billion rides that you said that Lime has accomplished is incredible. It's monumental. And you think about all the carbon that was saved in that experience and just the joy that you've brought to the world in that. So tell me, Chinmay, so when we're thinking about your program at Ride Panda and how you're trying to get this as a good benefit, as a benefit offering for organizations, how's that stickiness of that benefit? How's it coming along?
So shared services in Lime are awesome, right? If you're out and about, you want to get a ride, maybe a mile or 2 miles and get to your meeting or to get to meet a friend and so on and so forth. But there are some challenges. Shared services can be very expensive. So it
Mm,
used to be 15 cents, now it's 50 cents a minute, right? So a single trip can cost you 10 minutes, can cost you $10, which if you're commuting every day, it's very quickly becomes a few $100s a month,
right.
right? It's about empowering choice, right? Some folks, our customers, take their kids to school on a cargo bike and then go to work. Some folks take a foldable bike that they ride to the train station and then do a multimodal trip. Some folks love the exercise of going 30, 40 minutes to work and decompressing after work. Some folks like a slight assist because they have a hill next to them and that was, taking them away to ride. So choice was the second thing we wanted to go after along with affordability. And then finally, reliability. You wake up for your commute, you have a 9 a.m. meeting, you want to know you have the right vehicle for you ready there and then versus like searching for one or finding public transit route or things like that. I think those are the three key pillars and foundation. We started our program, and the way it works is similar to Netflix. It's a month-to-month subscription. You can try different vehicles. You can swap or cancel. There's no upfront commitment. We include insurance and service, and really it's catered towards the novices, the first-time riders. If you look at stats, right, San Francisco or Seattle or New York, 2, 3, 4% of folks are commuting on a bike.
Mm,
If you look at now going back to our work with employers, majority of our riders tend to be new to biking. They're coming to us because of the flexibility the subscription program, and as well as the commuter or a benefit, or a benefit that employees offer to financially incentivize and them or nudge them towards a program. So when you look at how much engagement we see from our riders, and Sam, you are the expert on the benefits. You can of course opine there, but
yeah.
we have folks, in certain cases 5%, 7%. We had an employer this year who already is having almost 13% of employees within 6 months embracing a sustainable option from us to get to work, right? And the retention tends to be very, very, solid here. Like folks stay on after a year. We have our longest rider almost getting to 4 years on a vehicle from us. They've of course swapped, got service. And I think what gives me a lot of joy to your previous question, majority are new to biking. We are not this. I love the bikers that are already there doing it all season, all weather. We're actually focused on the 95, 98% who was not biking or taking a scooter to work. And actually, we're going after them. And that has been really beautiful and meaningful to see.
Yes. So tell me, Chinmay, as there's been a large return to office initiative over the past few years, how has this program really enabled that?
Yeah, return to office. I mean, Sam, I'm sure you've written about it. I'm sure, like you talk a lot with a lot of different folks about
Mm,
it. Return to office is a big, 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 thing for many, many employers, right? And I think it is for many times perceived as big friction. Like I was used to a lifestyle during the COVID times, and I'm very comfortable, and now I have to get to work. Of course, there's an open debate about what's okay, what's not okay. How much is okay? Is it 5 days? Is it 3 days? But really, I think what we have to get to is that, and we have learned a lot from some of our big partner employers we work with have had those mandates, and they have embraced upward looking that hey, there is this friction, and one of the biggest friction points is commute.
mm.
Commute is dreaded employee experience. I have to wake up, sit up on a car, I have to go and queue up, and hopefully my bus is on time, or I have to make sure that I would be at 9 a.m. in a crowded subway, things like that. I think that is we have to acknowledge that people are they keep doing it. And I think, but that is definitely a dreaded part of their workday. And I think what we have been able to do is with our program, we're giving something that's state of the art, that's exciting, that's fun, that's healthy, that's sustainable, and actually easing that friction, easing that pain. With us, with your own personal vehicle, folks can get agency to come and go as they want to. They're not tied to necessarily any schedules. And commute, which is dreaded, actually becomes a fun part of their workday.
Right.
I'll tell you an anecdote. We had this person, and she has written publicly about it. She's a mom, lives in Seattle. Suddenly, there was an RTO mandate coming 5 days a week, and she was very used to taking her kids to school and and things like that. And wow, and then it's a sudden lifestyle change. What do I do? Stress, anxiety. She ended up signing for our program, and she found Right Penna as her productivity hack. She was like, well, hey, I can get this cargo bike. I can drop my kids to school, and commuting takes 30 minutes both ways. I can actually get my exercise on top as well.
Yeah.
And over time, she just also found the joy of doing so. And I think it was like a beautiful story that we were able to see, starting with that friction of RTO, what do I do, stress, anxiety, to actually make it one of the most joyful parts of our workday, which is just so meaningful and exciting for me to see. And I'm sure there are other stories as well that we are able to support.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and it's just, it brings a sense of equality across the workforce as well, because, if you offer parking subsidies or transit subsidies, not everybody lives near public transit, right? And so offering this along with those, or to supplement and to help bring more equity across the benefit platform, is quite important. So I really love the offering. In particular, Chinmay, so you mentioned that, you really bring joy to in finding in satisfaction in yourself that you're bringing people new to biking. And when I think back in my early days as a kid, and the bikes were quite simple back then. You had your Schwinn's and so forth, and that kind of stuff. And now you have battery operated vehicles and different selection. And your organization provides support in ensuring that people can select the right vehicle. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, look, Sam, as you very well called out, right? If you go and search e-bike online or even go to our site, there's so many different types and kinds of options, right? There are
Mm-hmm.
models, different brands, uh, and they're also expensive. Like if you're curious about this brand, you're like, I really like this one, $4,000. Would I want to purchase something that I'm not even sure about actually I will use? And what about that service and insurance? These are all barriers for folks who might even be slightly curious to actually embrace that full time. And I think that's what we wanted to address head first. Like, hey, let's look at every barrier possible and see what we can do about it. So what we as Right Panda do, we run in certain cities, we have our own hubs, what we call Panda hubs, where employees of the organization we work with can come test ride different vehicles, look at if the cargo bike will fit their lifestyle, or is it electric foldable scooter, or is it a normal road bike they wanted to get into, and they can see what they want. And these are monthly subscriptions, anywhere from $50 to $200 a month. And it's month to month. Like let's say they start with a bike or electric bike, and then they're like, hey, actually, I don't feel comfortable. What if I want to go to a scooter, or I actually want to get an upgrade and have more power? Or some people go from electric to non-electric. Like, hey, I feel very comfortable, but I want to get more exercise out. They can do that. And we also run test ride events. So we go to the offices and campuses of our partner employers to be there with them and help them with their different questions around what is an e-bike? How does that work? Do I press a button? Does the assist come in when I'm riding? Well, and all of those, questions, which could be, like the bikes 101 that folks have. And I think because we have catered our program around this demographic, I think we are able to give them a lot of resources. Our staff is very much educated to deal with all of the different questions. And I think that is, I think, what I would say is very crucial to be able to offer this and get new folks to embrace this. We get more women ever than a typical bike shop sees
Mm.
because of the way we have structured the program. And I think I would say, like, I think the employer subsidy goes a long way, right? Anywhere from $100, $200 subsidy, which is many times cheaper than what parking can cost or shuttles can cost for employers.
Yeah.
That can get someone on a very beautiful, nice e-bike, and off they go. And of course, no commitment. It's flexible month to month. If they stop riding, don't feel comfortable, they can always cancel. But if you look at our retention numbers, it's amazing. 2 out of 3 stay on after a year, and so on and so forth. Of course, folks, if they leave an employer or move a city, that changes. But it is not a benefit people just like.
Hmm.
It's benefit folks actually love because they didn't think they would be doing it, right? They were so used to bus or driving that this is just a complete, like night and day in terms of how my life is. And it's not just for commuting, then it becomes to have long-term behavioral change, a way they get to, they ride on weekends, do errands, and so on and so forth. Because with us, they get a personal bike that they get to keep right to work, but also keep it at home.
Right, and they get choice. I mean, there's, as you mentioned, they can choose from a variety of vehicles, and whether they want something that's going to have a cargo carrier, and of course, as you mentioned, I'm in Colorado and currently in Sedona, and I know there's a lot of outdoor enthusiasts that want something that's a little bit more robust and so forth. You provide choice there as well too. Is that right?
Exactly, right. So I think we work with the best manufacturers in the
Hmm.
US, like Specialized and Trek. We offer various different options. Cargo bikes you mentioned, you can take kids or groceries, foldable bikes that are easy to carry on trains, or foldable scooters. We have step-through bikes that are preferred more by women because it's easy to get on and off. We have just classic road bikes. We also have mountain bikes. We have electric mountain bikes if people want to take beautiful trails in Seattle to get to work.
Yeah.
So yeah, various different options for different body types, different use cases. Where do you live? How far do you live from work? Do you have a big hill next to you? Are you off-roading? Are you in the main road? If it rains more, you need the proper fenders. All of those things, right? So it's more like for the novices, the first-time riders, they're less familiar with the brands, less familiar with what they even need. And so
Hmm.
for us, our it's more of a discovery process, around all of these questions, and then we guide them to the right thing for them, with the option to, of course, change if that is not the right decision on the first step.
Okay, so let's move to the point of how does a business really bring this into the organization successfully and so forth as a program. So as you know, CFOs are interested in ROI, not anecdotes, and how do you recommend framing the business case for a leader that wants to bring this into the organization?
No, great question, Sam. First of all, I think it's a very, our model is purely utilization based, right? So if you're not paying a huge fee as a recurring fee and all of any of those things, what we ask employers is to have a subsidy, right, and to drive adoption. And the subsidy only applies, that could be $100 or $200 a month, if the employees of their organization choose to go take advantage of the vehicle. And the ROI is in a couple of different buckets, right? I think there's huge gains around just removing the friction on RTO, and then just employee NPS scores. We see a dramatic jump there around health and wellness, mental wellness or physical health wellness. CDC recommends 150 minutes of exercise a week. I think with a couple of, with 3 times or 4 times a week commuting, you're able to check that. And I think employees do report being happier and feeling more productive. Sustainability still matters, right? And I think we have employees who will signal and share that having a tangible benefit that they can look and feel. They report that employers care about sustainability, and it's a valid sort of move they're making by supporting something like this. And also, I would say there are also mandates, right, around different cities and states around reducing single occupancy car trips,
Hmm.
right, around making, and be it in Seattle, be it in DC, be it in San Francisco, be it in New York, you have to do tangible measures, and we are an easy, simple, turnkey solution. We and of course help you with a lot of different reporting. A third of our riders report replacing 2 car trips a week, right? That's like night and day in terms of how they were commuting to how they're commuting. And now 80% of our riders were not taking a bike at all before Ridepanda, and now the majority of them actually end up riding them on almost a daily basis, if not 2 to 3 days a week. So I think there is a lot of different, things that we look at, right? I think based on what the employer is going through,
Hmm.
right? If it's our return to office, right? We are a great, simple, exciting solution. If it's parking costs are expensive, like companies are actually looking at CFOs, looking at cost savings. Do I want to lease this new parking lot, and each spot can cost them $200, $300 a month? A new parking spot can cost them 25 to 50K to build.
Yeah.
Shuttles can cost them 200K, 300K a year to run, versus we are this more affordable and a cost efficient based on purely utilization model as a look at getting people to work, right? So I think there's various different things we could do, but I think it's of course a discovery process. But as you said, like it's a sustainable, healthier, more productive workforce with the added cost savings around what the alternatives are.
So I like that you mentioned one of the metrics being like the tracking of parking costs and so forth. With your clientele that you see, are there other types of talent-centric metrics that are tracked, such as attrition, absenteeism, motivation, things like this?
Yeah, I think we broadly go into the employee NPS score and what folks produce based on that, and then we look at their it's a lot of them are heuristics and surveys that we do with the employer based on how what they're seeing, and they're definitely quantifiable retention gains, like the cost of hiring a new employee versus keeping someone happy. I think there's a huge delta there, and we see great. I'll tell you, we went to one of the events, and one of the employees at a company said one of the core reasons, and I guess I will caveat that this person was very enthusiastic to meet us, right? So maybe that's some of that was there. One of the core reasons that he's still employed as an employer is because they get an amazing Ridepanda benefit to get a bike from us. That has transformed his life, right? So a lot of these, of course, are anecdotes, but also there's some clear ROI we share on employee NPS, on what retention looks like with us around year to year, that folks can take in consideration when they look at their broader benefits package.
Okay. So we've spoken about how to make the business case and metrics to track their success. And so let's say we get the green light to put the program in place. What are the things that the implementer or the head of HR or whatever needs to think about as they're putting this program into their organization?
Yeah, great question, Sam. So I think we have really tried to focus on, and we have worked with some of their clients to make sure that it's very simple and easy for them. We work with, I would say, the large like tech employers like Amazon and Google. We work with city governments. We work with hospitals. We work with law firms, right? So it's various different industries, various different employers. I think our learning has been make it simple and easy,
Mm-hmm.
right? And do the work for them upfront, because like HR professionals and are very busy with so many things to do. So really the way the program works is we align and agree. Many cases employers already offer a subsidy. If not, we recommend a path there, what could make sense based on their employee demographic. We of course have the contractual process, and when it comes to launch, we would then lead a lot of the communications from our side, starting with a test ride event at the employer's location so that they get to feel it and see what the different vehicles are. Bike to Work Month, which is in May, is huge for us. So we do a lot of events there. We'd actually prioritize some of the launches to happen before or then so that we can actually get folks to really engage with that. And then I think the ongoing support and service around really like the challenge and the thing that we work with employers is awareness, right? Get folks excited and interested. And there are various different things we do around test ride events that happen recurring basis. We, of course, work on Slack comms and email comms. We have our own templates. We get access to eligibility files. We can lead it for them. And then and really the HR professionals get an easy, simple dashboard to just measure success in real time.
Nice.
How many people have signed up across different offices? What are they signing up for if they're curious about bikes to scooters? How many car trips are we actually avoiding? How much, gains or wellness are happening? How many, we also have some great metrics around how many potential trees have been planted by your employees so far over the past year and things like that they have access in real time, right? And ability reporting is how to report commute trips. All of that gets embedded there.
All right. So Chinmay, you slipped something in there that we haven't talked about. So the planting of trees. Tell me how this program relates to that.
Yeah, so I would say I think it's a fun heuristic, right? I think we have now thousands of riders right across, and I think we already hit the milestone early this year where we have equivalent planted more trees that are there in Central Park in New York.
Yeah.
So I think those are fun ways to interesting ways to sort of like share the impact that is there, right? like a car causes, 4.6 tons of CO2 emissions a year on average.
Hmm.
Now, if I tell them how much the bike is, it's still like, tons and CO2, and it's hard to sort of measure. So we give employees like, hey, this is what you actually ended up doing in terms of trees planted or things like that, to really take in the emotional,
Yes.
impact around what they're really doing.
Yeah, super important. I mean, you just mentioned the dashboard. That's you can have things on the financial side for the CFO, but when people are thinking about what makes them feel great about the program and why they should be in it, providing that reinforcement is perfect. Thank you for doing that. Also, Chinmay, I mean, if we think about just safety and liability, that's kind of like a board question. Your programs provide a lot of support. Can you tell us how bundled maintenance and theft protection and training kind of alleviates the safety liability issue?
No, great question, Sam. So I think the step one, of course, is to get folks, employees on the right bike or a scooter of their liking and their choice, right? And that's, like the step one. Step two is making sure they keep riding for long, right? And what we offer something that's called Panda Care,
Okay.
right? As Panda, as the name continues. And that includes service, insurance, any sort of support they would want. We have live chat, they can reach out to us. We, of course, have our own stores. We also work with third-party bike shops, and it's more around like making sure that they are covered for anything that happens, right? So we, of course, around theft, right? Theft is a problem, so we give them a lock and a helmet, as part of the subscription. We tell them how to safely store their vehicle. We, of course, have insurance that backs us there. Accidents can happen, right? So I think, how do we protect any liability for the employer, right? So we have a clean contract that we make sure that their employees don't have to have the headache of, well, if I'm incurring this, am I liable? That is not the case at all, right? Employers are, we're protected there. That's something that gives them the peace of mind. And yeah, and I think the emphasis focuses on is the one-to-one relationship that Right Panda builds with each employee in supporting them with their unique challenges and needs. And I think that's the emphasis that we have, right? So it could be how do I fix a flat? Where do I go? My bike is not working as it used to. There is something wrong. What can I do? I'm actually not riding my bike as much because the hill is just too high and I'm not getting the right assist. Where do I go? Or I actually I'm moved my home that's like 4 miles away now. I don't know if this scooter is the right fit, or things like that. Or I'm actually leaving my employer. What can I do with my benefit? Can I still keep riding this bike that I love? So all of that, I think, is embedded, right, with the whole program, and that is the power of the subscription. It's not like we really win when we have our riders riding for months and months to years and years. That is the goal, and to be also transparent, that's how we make money. If all the subscriptions are canceled, right, Pena loses the money. Employers, of course, don't have to pay the subsidy, so they are also protected there. But our incentive is very much aligned to keep a employee on a vehicle of the right liking and actually make sure they're riding for long, which, and that's kind of the work we do.
Okay, so we've talked about implementing the program, having a successful launch, ensuring that your people are taken care of through that insurance and training and so forth. But then, of course, businesses go on and like a lot of benefits, they kind of tend to trend down over time. How do we keep people excited? How do we ensure that new hires that come into the organization know about the benefit? What kind of support do you provide there?
Yeah, so I think we have started working with some of our employers to be part of the new hire onboarding,
Hmm.
right? That's just step one. Like, hey, and one of the questions people have is like, well, I'm starting the new job. What is your office policy? How many times I have to come? Do I have to, and how do I get to work? Right. And I think we have made sure that we have our own staff there asking each employee where do they live, and then figuring out what could be the best way for them. And in certain cases, it's like you ride your bike to your Cal train station or your subway and then go forward. Uh, uh, like in the world of digital media, like being part of the intranet, being part of Slack groups, being part of like the email comms is all important. We have a big ambassador program that keeps increasing, where we have our own existing writers who are who are volunteering really to start an internal ERG group around sustainability or biking. And they are the ones also then helping disseminate some information, do their own social writing and things like that, that we are giving them all the support and services as much as we can from our side to make sure that community, that connection continues, right? And I think that's really also powerful, right? We have folks who are now teaming up and doing their right to work, five folks from different teams that are, and then meeting up and building that and maybe hanging out after work, which is also fun to see. So yeah, I think our emphasis focus is a lot there as well, and excited to always explore what else can we do. I think we're always open to it. Of course, going back to metric, right? Adoption is what we measure, right? Is it 5%? Is it 7%? Is it 10%? If it's 15%, what more can we do?
This brings up a good thought that employers can really put in some of those social programs to get people together. I mean, biking groups and really help with internal networking. So one other thing, Chinmay, I was thinking about. I mean, a lot of this when we're thinking about a program rollout in a central location, it's easy to get our mind around. But when we're thinking about multinational organizations, is there anything that they need to be concerned about there in those micromobility benefits?
Yeah, so today, Sam, I think we are in the US, right? So we are nationwide. We have riders in Nashville to DC to Boston to Austin to Denver to even Boulder. I don't know, Sam, where you are, but hopefully you've seen a Ridepanda rider zip by close to you. So it's a nationwide offering, right? And we want to make sure that all employees in the US get parity with the same benefits, right? And that's something I think we did an upgrade. We sat on this team to make sure that that happens. I would say I think we have another like if there's some of the global organization that we work with, we do know other companies and employer that can offer a similar program. And Sam, I'll also share with you one of this concept around corporate sponsored bike leasing is huge in Europe, right? In Germany and Belgium and Holland. And the second largest player in Germany just invested in Ridepanda. So they're called bikeleasing.de. They work with 80,000 employers with companies like Lufthansa and Marco Polo as their existing clients. So we are super excited to have them and their expertise around doing the same work. What makes the why now or US interesting is the arrival of electric options, right? US of course behind Europe and it was the biking culture behavior. But I think the opportunity is really, really, really very interesting and exciting for the US. And we're super excited to have Bike Leasing as a partner who's worked with so many tons of different employers, have seen all the different issues, have worked hard on adoption as well, and excited to learn from them as we continue getting more and more employers on board and excited about what we do and really excited for our riders to do something they didn't think about that they would actually enjoy. That's just like the true excitement I have with what we do.
Yes, and for our listeners out there, anybody that has not been really involved in a bike culture, I mean, like if you've gone to the Netherlands or and some of the even, and I mean, I know in Colorado there's plenty of Boulder is a great example. There's communities that just embrace bikes, and it's the culture around that is just it's different. It's more peaceful. It's more sustainable. It's a different mindset, a healthier mindset. And so I inspire each one of our listeners to go out there and experience that. But Chinmay, as I'd like to dive in a little bit more on and what is your personal North Star for building benefits that are good for people, profits, planets? I mean, what's next for Ridepanda?
Yeah, great question, Sam. I think for me, I think the journey continues, right? The car is still a top of mind way of how in the US, folks commute, folks think about travel, mobility. That narrative is changing, right? They're increasing bike lane infrastructure, increasing adoption of e-bikes, increasing employers seeing the value of Ridepanda provides and actually working with us. Rivian, right, one of the most iconic electric car companies, just announced this week about their electric bike options.
Uh,
And the CEO went on and said, well, like if you look at our cities, the trips don't justify having a 4-ton, even if it's an electric option, right? And so it's exciting to see the narrative is changing in the US, and that that continues to inspire me to do the work we're doing, And I'm excited. I think we, of course, work with some of the big employers, but we were excited to get also into the world of finance and insurance and get those employers excited, work with more city governments. We're talking to a lot of different universities for both the staff and students. And yeah, I think that the journey continues. I think we would love to see if we had in the US or globally, 1 million riders taking advantage of Ride Panda. I think that's a good North Star for us to go after. But I think it's just every day is meaningful, and I think what I can also always go back is that every new rider is a life affected positively, and that is just that is still exciting. And I think if I go back to when you asked this first question, the why, that my ikigai, like something that is good for the world, something that that is financially can support me, something that I can actually enjoy and grow from, and something that's meaningful. And I think I could see all of those things happening at Ride Panda. And I want to continue that, right? And continue that with our partners, continue that with our riders, and it's fun to be doing so, and meaningful to be doing so. So I think that's what keeps me, continue to do what I do.
Yes. Well, thank you, Chinmay. I mean, today you showed us how a mobility benefit becomes a perfect purpose-driven reward. And so, we've talked about how we can track metrics to ensure its success, lower those parking costs, as you mentioned, happier commutes, more credible reporting on how we're impacting the environment, how we're being good stewards. And so I think the big takeaway is ensuring that the program was launched successfully and continues to be communicated successfully to encourage adoption, have special programs in place that were to encourage community and social adoption, internal networking, and so forth. Is there anything else that you'd like to leave for our listeners today, Chinmay, as far as the importance of this benefit and what it can do to an organization?
Yeah, no, thanks for the great summary, Sam. The one thing I would say is, like, I think we talk to a lot of HR benefits professionals, and sometimes their first reaction we get is like, well, hey, I don't bike. I don't imagine doing it myself. I have never ridden an e-bike. I drive to work. And those are, I would say, sometimes, and we have all the data and metrics to share, but I think it's also an emotional journey. So with this platform, I want to encourage and invite like HR professionals to also lean into it with curiosity and try it even for themselves to see the joy of it. Because once they can see the joy of it, that, like, if you run a survey about how many people want an e-bike at their company, it's very different to take this option, try this new thing, and see how you feel. It's a very different question, right? Versus like, oh, I have tried and tested this, benefit, and now I want it again as a different employee. We are a new novel thing, so I think I would just ask to lean with curiosity from the different professionals to try it out, and it's going to hopefully wow you, butts on seats, and hopefully it's going to wow your employees. And that's the big difference. We're not giving people what they already want. It's more like they're not thinking about it actively, but once they see it, test it, try it, it's one of the things that they will definitely reach out to their HR professional and say, wow, I love this e-bike, or I never thought commute could be actually a fun activity. And that is, I think, what we're offering. So that's the last thing I would say. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Chinmay, for your wisdom and bringing this important service to the world today. And thanks for moving this conversation forward, literally. For leaders ready to pilot or start with one of your locations, and have that one clear success metric, that one visible ambassador. If you found this useful, I mean, please reach out to Chinmay today at Ride Panda and start discovering this important benefit. And if you are a leader and you found this conversation useful, please subscribe, follow, and go to compteam.net to learn more about those total reward strategies that can elevate and really motivate your people in your workforce. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And a special thanks to Chinmay and for your contribution. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sam, for a great conversation.
All right.